Namaskar viewers, hello and welcome to Sansad TV. I'm Teena Jha, you're watching Perspective. Australia has become the first country in the world to ban social media for users under 16. So starting now, children below that age will no longer be able to create new accounts and existing profiles are being deactivated. The Australian government says the move is aimed at protecting young people from harmful content and reducing risks like cyberbullying, grooming and online addiction. This unprecedented step has ignited a global debate, especially in countries now considering similar restrictions. Denmark has announced plans to ban social media for under 15s. Norway is examining a similar proposal. A French parliamentary inquiry has recommended a ban for under 15s, along with a social media curfew for 15 to 18-year-olds. Also, Spain has drafted a law requiring parental authorization for under 16s to access any social media platform. And in the UK, new online safety rules, which were announced in July this year, could see tech executives fined or even jailed if they fail to protect young users from harmful or illegal content. In India too, there have been growing demands from parents and civil society to limit children's online access, especially as India has one of the world's cheapest data tariffs and more than 300 million children under the age of 15. Earlier this year, a petition seeking a ban was filed in the Supreme Court, but it was dismissed as a matter of policy making. Now, Australia's bold decision has reopened the conversation about whether India should also consider a similar prohibition, or does the real solution lie not in the laws, but in systemic, behavioral and educational changes? We'll explore all this on the show today. Joining us with their perspectives are two guests. I'm delighted to welcome Dr. Om Sai Ramesh V, Professor of Psychiatry, Lady Hardinge Medical College, New Delhi. Dr. Ramesh, thank you for taking our time and joining us on this very important debate. Also with us is Mr. Anuj Agrawal, cyber expert and chairman, Center for Research on Cybercrime and Cyber Law. Mr. Agrawal, always a pleasure to have you with us on the program. Dr. Ramesh, let's begin the program today with you because Australia's move has sort of ignited the debate once again on whether countries should curb access to social media for children under the age of 16. Is it time for India also to consider a similar move, given that we have a significant population of adolescents? The fact that India also is one of the countries where now the data tariff is quite low, which means easy access to the internet.
Very good. So when it comes to the India, I mean, as a mental health professional and child and adolescent psychiatrist, I would say that there are three kind of people who would be happier if it is implemented in India. Number one would be the parents. Number two would be the teachers. Number three would be mental health professionals. The reason why I'm saying so is that, these are the three kind of people who are currently having a lot of difficulty in taking care of their wards. And the usage of social media has been, at peak currently. And it has impact on their mental health and also the academics and also the, cyberbullying, as you rightly said. So therefore, I think it would be a welcoming move. However, I also would like to say that it cannot be done like what Australia has done just now, in my opinion, because such a kind of a move would have a lot of impact on the, the children as adolescents, and they will find means and methods to get the things in a back door. And therefore, I am of the opinion, and I would, encourage a kind of a gradual kind of a law which would help the the adolescents to curtail their usage of the internet. Social media. What does it mean? It means like probably there can be some kind of timings, or there can be some restriction on particular social media, or there can be some kind of a the places where you will not use the internet, or places where you will not use your social media, etc., etc. I hope I made my point clear.
Of course. You spoke about how it's important given the negative impact of the various social media platforms, especially on these young minds. But whether an outright ban is the way forward, or whether we need behavioral or systemic changes, is something that we will also delve upon in due course of time. Let me come to the legal aspect, speak to Mr. Agrawal about why such a ban could be like an overstatement in a country like India, because we are at a stage where social media platforms also have their own advantages. For a lot of youngsters, it's a source of education. It might also lead to digital exclusion if we start thinking about an outright ban. Mr. Agrawal, we've tried through the DPDP Act to try and make the internet a safe place. If you could take us and our viewers through some of the rules in that act which specially pertain to make the internet a safe place for children under the age of 18 in our country.
Very pleasurably taken my point. That first of all, not talk about bad about the social media. It is a very good medium of communication. Children and adolescents also need to communicate with the friends, school, parents, and the whole world. And so far, it had been a very, very effective and a cheap and accessible medium. And banning it outright anywhere or for any age group will definitely lead to digital exclusion, which is neither feasible, not possible, not legally acceptable in a democratic country like ours.
That's right.
Now, what we need to focus, because there are a lot of negativity about social media. Yes, what is bad in social media? We have violent content on the social media. We have people who are talking about drugs in the social media. We have a lot of nudity content on the social media. And there are contents which are definitely harmful to human beings. So the point of discussion should be, if there are bad contents, there are negative contents, there are nudity, there is extreme violence, why not ban it for all? Why only ban for children? Something which is bad per se, something which is violent per se, how it can be good for adults? And why it can be bad only for children? I'm sure we have Professor Om Sai with us, and he would have definitely dealt not only with the children, but the psychiatric problems with the adults. And anything which is bad affects both, because at some point of time I am a child, at some point of time I myself is an adult. So what we need to do, and what the law so far has tried, as you have also rightly pointed out, we have something called Intermediary Guidelines and Ethics Code, which is already in force under IT Act 2000, which talks about these kind of stuff. That anybody who is running a social media platform, or anybody who is an intermediary who is involved into disseminating information through internet, has to ensure that these kind of contents are curated, these kind of contents are not published. And of course, anything which is specifically negatively targeting children, point number 3, is already prohibited. Honorable Supreme Court also, in some of the matters regarding the nudity or the triple X kind of a material, they have given a ruling that the platforms have to curate, platforms have to clean their act. You cannot say, and it is actually banned. They have there are around 800 so platforms which are delivering the nude content in this country. They are already banned by all the ISPs. So what we should be looking at is, and the law as far as the DPDP Act or the law as far as the IT Act is concerned, yes, it is talking about selectively making content available based on consent. But something which is patently wrong, patently violent, is promoting intolerance, is promoting drugs, should be banned. And this should be the responsibility of the platforms, not the individual. The onus should be on the platform to curate such content and remove it. And anybody who is peddling violence, anybody who is peddling nudity, drugs on social media, or any digital platform should be booked under appropriate law. The legal provisions are already there.
Certainly, we have to enhance measures which increase the accountability of these social media platforms, and outright ban is something that may not work in a country as diverse in terms of digital literacy. There are so many socio-cultural factors as well at play, and of course, the point about digital exclusion that we spoke about earlier, and Mr. Agrawal has already thrown light on that. So an outright ban doesn't work in a democratic country like ours, and we have to find alternate pathways. Dr. Ramesh, based on your experience, what could be those alternate pathways which are not legal but which cater to the behavioral patterns? What is it that we can do to protect our children from the harmful content, from the addiction, from the cyberbullying, without actually forbidding them from using these platforms?
Yeah, that probably I think we need to find out such kind of intermediary, measures over a period of time. But immediately we may not be able to have a solution like that. But then being a mental health professional, being a child psychiatrist, I have been seeing that there are so many young children who are coming to our clinics with influence of such kind of problems, such as bullying is very common, and they also have a lot of body image worries. How am I looking, how others are looking. And one important reason why we are more concerned about this particular age group, that is adolescents, is their brains are still growing. There is a development which is taking place, especially their if you see, their reward pathways are still very, very short. So anything which is novelty seeking, anything which is the risk taking, they are at the beginning. So basically, because of all these reasons, they are more prone when compared to the adults and other age group population to fall prey for such kind of the material which is there online. And probably the best method would be, as I really do not know what is the exact method, but then we should have a kind of a graded implementation rather than one single short ban on the entire usage of the social media. Because I do agree with our co-panelist, Mr. Anuj sir, saying that there are so many benefits about the social media if they are used very meaningfully, judiciously. But the problem is that the children and adolescents, they may not be used them judiciously in most of the time. So therefore, they are more prone for the ill effects of that.
Do you mean that the lack of supervision at home could also be one of the reasons why children are falling prey to harmful content and threats like cyberbullying?
Yes, it could be, because the most of the these days we are having nuclear families, and then we don't have many people in the particular family. So therefore, the both parents may be working, they have less work, they are stressed out in other activities, so they may not be able to supervise. So they are left over with the gadgets. And gadgets by and large, any kind of light or any kind of music or any kind of talk which is seen through the gadgets would have more impact than when somebody is listening to somebody, when somebody is looking at other environmental stimulus. So therefore, the reward pathway, their adrenaline will be, even a ping can increase the push of adrenaline sometimes in young adults. So therefore, they are asking for it again and again and again. So therefore, it's a kind of a addiction. We call it as behavioral addiction. And because of this, there are ramifications in very many areas of the individual. Their academics are affected, their socialization is affected, they may be having low self-esteem, they may land up in kind of a depression, anxiety, and enormous data is already available on this particular area, the ill effects of social media on growing children and adolescents. And we have seen that they are more prone for anxiety and depression, and they are also having what you call the low self-esteem. They will not be able to make friends, they will not be able to meet friends, they will have social anxiety, such kind of things. However, as Dr. Anuj sir has said, probably we'll have to have more control on the platforms rather than the content rather than the user. Probably we may have to find out some ways and means how to control that kind of contents in the
That's true.
social
It's
media.
not about whether you need responsible supervision or responsible platforms. The responsibility
Correct.
lies with both, more so on the platforms who
Correct.
should know who they are catering to and what content they are catering to this age specific people. The
and
question to you,
and
Mr. Yes,
I,
please.
I also talk to some of the adolescents when I try to explain them or ask them why are they into social media. They make you they make you understand very clearly that if they are not online, they are illiterates. They will be missing out a lot, and they'll not be on par with other children. So if India as a country takes this kind of decision, let us say, probably many of the children and adolescents who are in India may feel that they are not up to the mark when compared to the other adolescents who are in other parts of the countries and world. So they'll have to be upgraded themselves. They'll have to be literate. We are talking about the digital literacy. We are not talking about the real meaning of literacy, but we are talking about the digital literacy. They may lag behind if we cut suddenly also.
That's true. There has to be a balance. In that
Balance.
context, Mr. Agrawal, in protecting the child and making sure that we are not infringing upon their digital rights and their opportunity to information, access to information which is available on the internet, how sound or how systematic is our legal framework, especially if you could elaborate more on the point which says in India for children under the age of 18, it's mandatory for the data fiduciaries to have verifiable parental consent. Explain to us what it means and how will the platforms ensure that they are permitting only children above the age of 18, and for children below the age of 18 that parental consent is required. How do they obtain that? If you could elaborate more on that for us and our viewers.
Now, this is a very, very important provision which has come into the DPDP Act 2023 and which has now become enforceable after the issue of the rules. Basically, this particular provision aims to ensure that the consent is given by those who are competent to contract, that is only the adults. A child or a person less than the age of 18 in India is not considered competent to contract on anything. So, in that context, they have said that the parents should only be allowed to give consent if the personal data of the children are going to be utilized for any processing which is required actually for accessing any social media platform. So, in a way, the access to the social media platform is for children is now restricted to the extent that the consent has to be given by the parent. There are some challenges in terms of identifying a parent of a child, which again some children who are studying say in cities and their parents are in away in villages, they may not have full access to the platforms, or they may not be fully literate to understand the legality or how to give a consent, etc. So I think those are the things which are being worked out. But as far as the legal framework is concerned, yes, we have now a sound legal platform. We now have the law in place by which certain contents of or certain access to the platforms, at least the platforms which are known for peddling wrong contents, violence, nudity, any kind of a drug abuse, or something which is patently found harmful to the children, they can be completely restricted through the parental consent. This also gives an opportunity for parents and also in that process to school and everybody else in the household to know where the child is going, what content they are accessing, and positively, it is also enhancing access of the child to the rightful content on the social media or any digital platform. For example, A child may be free to use the contents from the school or from their coaching, from their friends, because the consent can be freely given. The law also ensures that even if the consent is given once and later on it is being found to be misused, for example, a platform initially is giving good content, proper content, content which is positive for the child, but later on it is figured out by the parent that the platform is misusing that consent and is now peddling a content which is not good for the child, it can be withdrawn. So the legal framework is definitely in place after the DPDP Act, and it has to be seen that how practicable it is. But yes, since the law is there, it has to be followed, and slowly, slowly, everybody would appreciate the platforms as well as the parent, and of course the children, that this is something which is for everybody's good.
So
If the
both of you
platforms
have
are not
pointed out,
following it,
both of you have, rightly pointed out that in a country like ours, we need a balanced approach to social media regulation, which is a combination of digital education, parental involvement, and most importantly, platform-based safety measures, which we are already seeing on part of the government. In recent years, there have been various measures to mitigate the potential harms of social media, but at the same time, not curbing the benefits that the social media platforms also have to offer. From here on, if I may want to ask you, Dr. Ramesh, about how we can take forward the awareness and the digital literacy part, both for the adolescents but also for the parents. How can they be more involved in ensuring that the content which is accessible to their children is appropriate for them, at the same time also preventing them from any potential harm online?
Yeah. So the before coming out with such kind of draconian laws, probably something else can be done, as we were just discussing just now. Some small measures can work a lot. Like we do in our clinical setup also. Like some of the adolescents are very intelligent. So they understand what we what we tell them. So what we have tried and found out to be very useful is, there are so many. I'm sure Mr. Agrawal will accept if I say about some of the apps. There are some apps which will help you to do kind of an analysis of how much time in a day you have used the gadget and what are the purposes, and how much of that usage was on social media, and such kind of analysis report will be given by some of the apps, and parents can definitely do that kind of analysis now and then. And probably we also have some kind of alarms in some of these apps. Like, for example, if an adolescent has used the particular social media for more than 30 minutes, there will be a kind of a beep, and adolescent can take a decision to stop it or go to that maybe later, or parents would also get a kind of a alarm. Such kind of measures are very many beneficial, and I think we should use the technology to help us to stay away from the technology. And in some other families, we have requested them to follow what is called as digital fasting, or you can name anything. What it means is that basically on a particular day, let us say Saturday or Sunday, none of the family members will be using the any gadgets or any social media. Or some of the families we have discussed, like on dinner table, you will not be using the gadgets, or even the parents should not be using their laptops and etc. They have to model to the child and adolescent so that they will be inculcate such kind of habits. So these are small techniques which we can try. And probably if you ask me what other the methods and means before that kind of law coming into force, probably maybe time limiting, or maybe the content organizing. Maybe there has to be checks and means which will help us to curtail the such kind of harmful material.
Absolutely. So in addition to the privacy and protection policies that we expect the policymakers to take care of, it's important to have school-based programs which promote balanced social media use, ensure that the screen time of the adolescents is reduced, and they're putting their time in other activities. At the same time, peer-based networks, the family-based networks, something that you rightly suggested, that could also help us have a balanced approach. Most importantly, I think when it involves adolescents and children of that age group, while trying to maintain a balance of not depriving them of the benefits of social media, it's important to ensure that their protection is paramount, and for which every stakeholder, the parents, the schools, the teachers, the mental health professionals, and of course the policymakers, they have to all think alike. They have to come together, create a digital world which preserves the social, educational and emotional benefits that social media has to offer, so that this age group does not have that fear of missing out if you try and forbid them from using these platforms altogether. So that's the crux of the discussion today, that in a country like ours, a balanced approach is what is going to work on. Time allows us to take up only that much on the program, gentlemen. Thank you for your valuable time, and to you viewers, thank you very much for your time as well.
संसद टीवी के और भी प्रोग्राम्स देखने के लिए सब्सक्राइब करें हमारा YouTube चैनल और हाँ, इन्हें लाइक और शेयर करना ना भूलें।